My parents cheered at my sister's recital, but left before mine started. I sat backstage gripping my guitar, hands shaking, their seats still empty. I clapped for her, filmed her dance, carried her flowers. But when it was my turn, just strings, sweat, and a silent stage, they were gone. Too tired, the text read. They missed the song I wrote just for them. But that night, I played anyway. For strangers. For my grandma. For me. And the silence they left behind? It became my loudest applause. You ever play your heart out for a room full of ghosts? That's how it felt that night. I walked on stage, guitar in hand, palms sweating, eyes scanning for just two familiar faces in a crowd of strangers. But those front row seats, the ones I reserved with their names on little white cards, sat empty. No text. No call. Just a silence so loud it crushed everything I practiced for. My name's Ryan. I'm 25. I live in Boulder, Colorado. Most folks know me as the guy who makes a killer cappuccino at Morning Roast Cafe, but I live for music. Classical guitar, specifically. Nylon strings, Bach arrangements, Spanish folk runs. I've spent years letting my fingers bleed so my soul didn't have to. I'm the older sibling. The quiet one. The dependable one. The one who pays the phone bill when dad's business slows down. Who skips open mic nights to work a double when mom's car needs new brakes. And I've done it all without complaining, because that's just what I thought being a good son meant. Now Bella, my little sister, she's the star. Blonde, bubbly, big stage ballet girl with a TikTok following and a shelf of trophies. And don't get me wrong, I love her. I really do. I was there for every plie and pirouette since her first recital when she was 7. Cheered, filmed, even helped sew a ripped tutu backstage once. That's family, right? So when I heard she had a big ballet showcase scheduled for the same day as my community college recital, I didn't panic. Hers was in the morning. Mine? 6 p.m., small auditorium, nothing fancy. I figured we'd all go support her, grab lunch, then they'd come to my thing. Easy. I didn't ask them to choose. I just asked them to show up. Let me back up. The recital meant everything to me. It wasn't some pop-up open mic or a background gig at a wine bar. It was the result of a full year of late-night practice after work, perfecting 3 original pieces and arranging 4 more from composers I loved. This was my fingerprint on the world. And I told them that. I told them how hard I'd worked. I emailed them the location, sent the flyer, even got 2 seats reserved with their names. Dad replied with a thumbs up. Mom said, looking forward to it. Bella just smiled and went back to stretching her ankle over the kitchen counter. In the weeks leading up, I paid out of pocket to get a professional tuner and repair a crack in my guitar neck. I kept practicing during my lunch breaks behind the cafe's walk-in fridge, anything to get the muscle memory down. Even declined a weekend trip to Vail with friends to avoid risking my hands. Because this wasn't just about music. It was about finally being heard. The morning of the recital, I drove us all to Bella's dance center. I filmed her performance from 3 different angles. I clapped louder than anyone else in the room. Afterwards, I gave her the bouquet I bought, purple roses, her favorite, and she squealed, kissed my cheek, and posted a selfie with the caption, "My biggest fan." I felt proud and nervous, because after all that love I poured out, I just hoped I'd feel even a sliver of it coming back. We got home around 3 p.m. I showered, changed into my one good blazer, and tuned my guitar in the garage where I usually practiced. I wasn't aiming for fame. I just wanted them to see me, even for 45 minutes. At 5:30, I left for campus. I didn't ask if they were coming. I assumed they'd meet me there like we planned. I stepped onto that stage at exactly 6:02 p.m. And those 2 front row seats? Still empty. My professor gave me an encouraging nod. A few classmates smiled. The lights dimmed. I lifted the guitar into my lap, took a deep breath, and looked down so the tears wouldn't fall out of my eyes. I started playing. Not because they were watching, but because I was tired of waiting. I finished the first song with steady fingers and a shaky heart. It was the Bach piece I'd practiced for months, a prelude meant to sound effortless. But when the final note faded into the hushed auditorium, all I could hear was the sound of my own pulse in my ears, and the 2 empty chairs in front of me, still untouched. I tried to focus on the next piece. I shifted in my seat, cleared my throat, began the intro to an original composition I'd written just for this recital. A piece called Morning Lights, inspired by the sunrise hitting my garage window during early practice sessions. Every chord felt like a small confession. Halfway through, a soft buzz came from the music stand. My phone. I'd forgotten to silence it. I shouldn't have checked, but I did. And that's when I saw it. A text from Mom. "Hey, honey. We're gonna head home. Bella's exhausted. Great job today. Love you." It hit harder than I thought it would. Like a slap wrapped in a hug. I stared at the screen too long. The silence in the auditorium stretched. Someone coughed. I snapped back and forced myself to finish the song. My hands moved, but my heart had checked out. The applause after that piece felt kind, but hollow. Like people clapping just because they didn't know what else to do. I played the rest of the set. I didn't cry. I didn't break. But something inside me shifted, like a bridge finally collapsing after years of termites. After the recital, a couple professors and classmates came up to say nice things. "Beautiful playing," one said. "You've got a real touch," another offered. I nodded, smiled, thanked them. But inside, I was watching years of loyalty unravel. When I got to my car, I sat in the driver's seat and opened Bella's Instagram story. There she was, curled up in her pink sweatsuit, laughing with Mom and Dad on the couch. A pizza box in front of them. Post-recital reward night. The caption read, with 3 heart emojis. No mention of mine. No second thought. Just the quiet erasure of my effort. I scrolled back through my own camera roll. All those blurry practice clips. The notebook full of chord ideas. The grocery lists I helped with. The overtime hours. The $200 I gave Dad last month to hold us over. All of it felt like a stupid trade now, for applause that never came. I didn't go home that night. Instead, I drove to the cafe where I work. It was closed, but I had keys. I let myself in, turned on the fairy lights we use for ambience, and sat at a back table with my guitar. That's when I made the decision. I was done chasing validation from people who never showed up for me. So I pulled out my phone and recorded my final piece again, Morning Lights, but this time under the cafe lights, with just my reflection in the window. One take. No edits. I captioned it. For anyone who ever played their heart out and still got left behind. I didn't expect anything to happen. But by morning, the video had 17,000 views. And a comment that stopped me cold. "This just wrecked me. I'm a violinist. My parents never showed up either. Play on, brother." Under it, more replies. More stories. People from around the world talking about their own versions of that empty chair. Some were musicians. Some weren't. But the pain? It was universal. By noon, a classical music blogger shared my video. Then a cellist from Seattle reposted it. And just like that, strangers started seeing me, more than my family ever did. But just when I thought I was done with the past, Bella sent a voice message that cracked the whole thing wide open. "Ryan, why are people tagging me in your video? Are you seriously trying to make Mom and Dad look bad online? You're so dramatic. This is why no one takes you seriously." I froze. Because it wasn't just that she missed my recital. It was that she genuinely thought I was the villain for finally speaking. I didn't respond to Bella's voice message. Not because I didn't have anything to say, trust me, I did, but because something about her tone made my stomach churn. It wasn't just defensive. It was condescending. Like I'd committed some crime by sharing my own music for my own healing. As if my silence was their birthright and my voice was a betrayal. But silence had never done me any favors. That same afternoon, I got a call from a Seattle area code. I didn't pick up the first time. But when the same number called again 15 minutes later, I answered. A woman introduced herself, Cynthia, the coordinator of a performance series called Echo Hall Live. She said she'd seen my cafe video and wanted to invite me to an open audition in Seattle. The program focused on emerging soloists, especially overlooked, underrepresented voices in classical music. My throat dried up. I asked her to repeat herself. She did, chuckling warmly. "You've got something," she said. "It's not just the playing. It's the honesty. That clip's a hymn." I thanked her, told her I'd think about it. Then I sat back in my barista apron and tried not to cry. Because I'd spent the past decade begging my family to just see me. Now strangers were lining up to listen. But before I could feel proud, the texts started coming in. Not from Bella this time. From Mom. "We saw your video. You're painting us as bad people? After everything we've done for you? Your recital was your choice. We didn't ask for the guilt trip." Then came the kicker. Maybe it's time you grow up and stop acting like some wounded artist. That last one, that one hollowed me out. Because I was a wounded artist. Not because I wanted sympathy, but because I'd been carrying this ache in my chest for years, playing to the backs of people I loved while they clapped for someone else. Still, I didn't reply. Not yet. I needed something more than a comeback. I needed proof I wasn't crazy. I needed to remember why this hurt so much. So I drove home. Not to confront them. Not yet. But to retrieve something. My old practice journal. The one I'd filled with sketches, song titles, notes, and scribbled frustration since I was 15. It was buried in a box in the garage. Dusty. Smelling faintly of mildew and wood glue. I opened it on my childhood bed that night. Page after page, I read. Practiced till fingers bled, no one home. Played for Bella's birthday. They asked me to turn it down. Dad said music's not a real job, again. And then, in blue ink, a single line from my junior year. They love me more when I'm silent. That line shattered something. Because I remembered why I started playing guitar in the first place. It was never about praise. It was about survival. My instrument didn't interrupt, didn't talk back, didn't compare me to Bella's pirouettes or trophies. It was mine. It let me speak without needing permission. And for too long, I'd let that voice be locked in the background. I flipped to a blank page. Wrote down 3 words. No more silence. That night, I filmed a new video. This time, I didn't just play. I talked. Camera propped against a tipped-over mug, hoodie pulled over my head, eyes swollen from lack of sleep. I said, "Hi, my name's Ryan. I've been playing guitar since I was 10. I gave up touring to support my family. And last week, they left before my recital started. I'm not saying this for pity. I'm saying this because I think a lot of us are taught that keeping quiet is loyalty. It's not. It's erasure." I ended it by playing Morning Lights again, this time slower, deeper, rawer. I posted it with the caption, "For anyone who ever played second to the spotlight, you deserve the stage, too." By morning, it had 220,000 views. The comment section was a war zone. Some people defended me. Others called me petty or emotional. But the messages that mattered? The quiet ones. From music students. From burnout siblings. From adults in their 50s saying they still remembered the concert their dad skipped. And one DM from someone I never expected. My old guitar teacher, Mr. Donnelly. He wrote, "Still one of the most disciplined students I ever taught. If you're serious about Seattle, I know someone who can help. You were meant for more than local cafes." I sat with that message for 10 full minutes. Then I replied, "Yes, please, I'm ready." But deep down, I knew I wasn't just saying yes to Seattle. I was saying yes to myself, for the first time in my life. What I didn't know? Bella was about to post something on her Instagram that would flip the whole narrative upside down and expose what my parents had been hiding for years. It started with a ping. A notification from Instagram. I wasn't even planning to open the app, but curiosity gnawed at me. Bella had posted something new. A carousel of photos from her recital, of course. Her caption was self-congratulatory in the usual way. "Dance my heart out, and grateful to the fam for always showing up. Even when they were exhausted from the second event of the day. Love y'all." I should have kept scrolling. But my thumb froze when I reached slide 5. A photo taken after her recital, in the lobby. My parents. Her friends. Smiling. Laughing. And behind them, a timestamped sign. 5:38 p.m., open mic night, acoustic recital, room C104. That was my recital. My name had been printed on that sign. That was my room. They had walked past it. Literally past it. Stood in the hallway long enough to take group photos, and then left. There was no too tired. There was no had to get home. They had seen the door. I stared at that picture for so long my eyes blurred. Not with tears. Those came later. But with a heat I hadn't felt in years. It wasn't neglect. It was rejection. Willful, active, dismissive rejection. And that caption? That smug tone. It wasn't even for her followers. It was for me. I felt like a ghost at my own funeral. I didn't message her. Not yet. But I did make a decision. I clicked over to my video, the one I'd posted last night. I updated the caption. They weren't tired. They were in the hallway. That's all I wrote. The comments exploded. People screenshotted both posts. Compared timestamps. Tagging each other with comments like, "Your own family did this. This hurts in ways I can't explain. Ryan, keep playing." Please. By that evening, a duet reaction video had gone viral on TikTok. A music professor in Boston stitched my post and broke down my composition note for note. Called it a masterclass in restrained heartbreak. I got 4,000 new followers in 3 hours. Bella DM'd me at 9:43 p.m. Wow, really? You're turning this into a pity circus. You know they were exhausted. They sat through my whole performance. I swear you've always been so dramatic. This is why you'll never go far in music. You make everything personal. And finally, delete the post. Seriously, you're humiliating Mom. I didn't reply. Instead, I sent the screenshot of the recital sign from her own photo with the timestamp highlighted. No words, just facts. The next morning, something unexpected happened. I got a text from Dad. Hey, I saw everything. Can we talk? I almost deleted it without reading, but something in me hesitated. I hadn't heard from him directly in weeks, not since the recital. I replied with one word. About what? He called immediately. I let it ring. Then I answered. His voice was tense, not angry. Almost scared. Ryan, he started. I didn't know how far this had gone. I didn't know you were hurting that bad. I stayed silent. He sighed. Your mom? She didn't tell me you were playing. She said it was just a class showcase. She said you didn't care if we came. My jaw clenched. So you didn't even ask me? He stammered. I should have. I was tired after Bella's thing and what? I snapped. You walked past the door, Dad. You smiled for photos in front of a sign with my name on it. He went quiet. Then, softly, I didn't think you'd want us there. That line, that was the crack. Because it was the same excuse he used every time I needed support and didn't get it. Didn't want to embarrass you. Didn't want to get in the way. Didn't think you'd care. They had convinced themselves I was fine in the silence, so they wouldn't have to ask if I was hurting. I wanted you there, I said, voice raw. I always wanted you there. He whispered, I'm sorry. I didn't say I forgave him. Instead, I asked, did Mom know? Another pause. She did, he admitted. She said it was better to let Bella have her moment. That you were used to being alone. My throat burned. So it wasn't a mistake. It was a decision. He didn't argue. And that told me everything. After we hung up, I stared at my ceiling for what felt like hours. The truth didn't bring peace. It brought clarity. They had been choosing her over me for years. But this time, they couldn't hide it behind tiredness or logistics. They left because they thought I was used to it. I wasn't. Not anymore. I messaged Cynthia in Seattle. I'm in. Just tell me what day. Then I packed my guitar, booked the bus ticket, and wrote one final caption under my video. You can't ignore a voice forever, not when it learns how to echo. What I didn't expect. Bella's next move wouldn't just be petty. It would be public and brutal. The video had now reached nearly 600,000 views. People in the comments weren't just angry, they were devastated for me. Musicians, siblings, even strangers were sharing stories of feeling invisible in their own homes. I wasn't just playing guitar anymore. I'd somehow struck a nerve that went far deeper than I expected. It should have been a moment of empowerment. But then, Bella posted a TikTok. I saw it during my break at the cafe. The thumbnail alone made my stomach drop. It was a split-screen video. On the left, a short clip from my performance. On the right, a slideshow of her dancing, smiling, our parents clapping. The caption? When your brother turns a personal tantrum into a viral sob story, #family drama, #let it go. At first, I thought it was fake. Someone mocking the situation with a parody. But no, it was her real account. Verified. Shared with 130,000 followers. The video already had 90K views. She started talking over soft piano music, like she was giving a heartfelt PSA. Look, I love my brother. I really do. But people are acting like I did something evil just by having my own moment. Like I forced my family to support me. She sighed dramatically. He could have told us his recital meant that much. He never said anything. He never asks for attention. So how are we supposed to know? I'm tired of being painted like some diva when I've worked just as hard for my art. She finished with this. We were tired. That's it. And if he wants clout that bad, fine. Hope it helps him sell more sad songs. I felt like I was watching someone flip my ribs inside out on camera. The comments were split. Half of her followers defended her. The others were tagging me, saying, please respond, don't let her spin it, and we see through this. I closed the app. I couldn't breathe. It wasn't just her video. It was the fact that she knew. She knew how quiet I was. how hard it was for me to speak up. And she turned that silence into ammunition. I needed to leave work. But my manager, James, mid-30s, low-key jazz drummer, took one look at my face and pulled me aside. "Everything all right?" he asked. I tried to brush it off, but the words started spilling. Not the whole story, just fragments. The recital, the video, my sister's TikTok. He just nodded, then said, "Man, some people don't know how loud silence can get until you use it like a megaphone." I didn't expect him to say that. Then he did something else unexpected. "You free this weekend? There's an open stage at Black Note Collective. Underground spot. Raw talent only. I can get you in." I hesitated. It's not really my kind of thing. He leaned against the counter. It wasn't mine either. But I went once, and felt more heard than 10 family barbecues put together. I said I'd think about it. That night, I couldn't sleep, because Bella's followers were now digging through my profile. Some were kind. Others mocked my playing, my clothes, even how boring I looked on stage. Then someone DM'd me from a burner account. "Your own sister's 10 times the talent. You're just background noise." I deleted the message. But it stuck. I was background noise, even to the people I bled for. But that's when I remembered something. A folder, tucked deep in an old USB I used to back up early recordings. Inside it, a voice memo from my grandma, before she passed. It was old, slightly grainy, but her voice was clear as moonlight. "Ryan, when you play, the whole house stops breathing. Don't let him teach you to whisper." I stared at my computer screen, headphones in, hands shaking. They had taught me to whisper. My whole life. I messaged James. "I'm in." 2 days later, I stood in the back of Black Note Collective, gripping my guitar like a lifeline. The room was filled with people I didn't know, but who were listening. No filters, no favoritism, just raw ears and raw hearts. I played 3 songs. The last one, a new composition, untitled, unplanned, but it was about her, about empty seats and full applause for the wrong people. When I finished, someone in the crowd shouted, "Damn, who hurt you?" Laughter broke out, but it was warm, real. Afterward, a girl came up to me, maybe 20, buzz cut, violin case slung across her back. "You ever record that?" "'Cause I'd kill to play harmony on it." I smiled for the first time in days. "No," I said, "but maybe now's the time." That night, I started composing again. Not for them, not for her, for me. But then, just as I opened my phone, ready to shut everything down for the night, I saw the newest headline. "Dancer's brother accuses family of favoritism in viral video drama. Sister responds." Someone had turned our entire conflict into news. And they weren't done digging. By the next morning, my face was in an online article. It wasn't from TMZ or BuzzFeed, but some mid-tier pop culture blog that somehow made it worse by pretending to care. The headline, "Violin over Valor? Quiet Brothers Recital Snub Sparks Internet Debate." They didn't even get my instrument right. The article pulled screenshots from both my video and Bella's TikTok. They used the most awkward frame of me tuning my guitar, eyes half closed, mouth slightly open, and wrote, "While Bella's graceful pirouettes are winning hearts, her brother Ryan's moody 6-string confessionals have opened a new chapter in family drama." But is this artistry or attention-seeking? My name was everywhere. I hadn't asked for this. When I stepped out to pick up groceries that afternoon, I caught 2 people whispering near the self-checkout at the Safeway. One of them glanced my way and said, "That's the Recital kid, right?" I left without the eggs. Even at work, regulars were quieter. Nicer, even. But too nice. Like I was a tragic footnote in a viral saga. James just said, "It'll blow over." Or build something better. But that better felt far away. Until I got a letter. No email. No text. A real, paper envelope. No return address. My name scrawled in handwriting I didn't recognize. Inside, a typed letter with one sentence handwritten at the bottom. It was from Bella's friend, Marina. We weren't close, but she used to come over a lot when we were kids. I hadn't seen her in years. The letter began, "Ryan, I debated sending this. But after watching your video and hearing Bella's response, I felt like you deserved more truth than what you've been given." What followed was 6 paragraphs. 6 paragraphs that shook everything. Marina explained how, in the weeks before our recitals, she had overheard conversations between Bella and my parents. Bella had explicitly asked them to make an early exit after her performance because she didn't want to feel second tier in the spotlight. Apparently, my parents, trying not to upset her before her scholarship auditions, agreed. They planned it. They planned to leave mine early. Worse, Marina had text messages to prove it. She attached screenshots of a group chat between Bella and my mom. The messages were clipped, but clear enough. Bella, I really don't want to hang around after. I know Ryan's playing, but it just feels like dragging the mood down. It's not personal. He's just not exciting to watch. Mom, totally understand. We'll make an excuse to head out early. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. The words blurred on the page. Then, handwritten at the bottom of the letter, Marina added, "You were always kind, even when everyone else ignored you. I'm sorry I didn't say something sooner. You deserve more. M." I sat on the floor of my bedroom, the letter trembling in my lap. It wasn't exhaustion. It wasn't miscommunication. They chose to leave me behind. Together. And now Bella was calling it a tantrum. That night, I pulled out the original audio file of the song I played at the recital. I added reverb, layered in soft background textures, and uploaded it under a new title. 2 Empty Chairs. I didn't tag anyone. Didn't caption it with some grand revenge quote. Just the music. Within 24 hours, it had 40,000 listens. One comment pinned itself to my chest. I played this while crying in the school library. My brother never came to my graduation. Thank you for writing my ache. And suddenly, it wasn't about Bella anymore. It wasn't even about my parents. It was about every person who ever looked into an empty chair hoping someone would show up, and played anyway. The messages kept coming. People from Ohio, from Brazil, from military families, from divorced households. One girl in Phoenix wrote, "My mom stayed for my brother's 3-hour baseball game. Left mine at intermission. You made me feel less alone." I printed that message and pinned it above my desk. But I knew this story wasn't finished. Because just as things started turning into purpose, I got a DM I hadn't expected. From my dad. Just 5 words. "Call me. It's important." I ignored it. Until he sent a photo. It was a shot of my old bedroom, guitar case open on the bed. Beneath it, a letter. With my name on the envelope. Handwriting I did recognize. My grandmother's. I texted him. "What is that?" He replied, "You'll want to read it. She left it for you. We forgot it was there." Forgot? Or hid it? I wasn't sure. But my stomach twisted with something I hadn't felt in a long time. Not just anger. Not even sadness. A pull. A call. Like a string on my guitar had just been tuned too tight. And something was about to snap. I didn't sleep. Not really. I just stared at my phone all night. The photo of that envelope burning a hole in my mind. My grandma, Dad's mom, had passed away when I was 15. She was the only person who ever asked me to play. Really play. She used to sit on the back porch, eyes closed, humming softly while I picked through Bach and Albanese like lullabies. She never missed a recital. Not once. I hadn't thought about that in a while. But suddenly, I needed that letter like oxygen. I texted Dad the next morning. "I'll come by. Alone." He replied instantly. Understood. The drive felt like crossing into another version of my life. Familiar roads that didn't feel like home anymore. I parked in front of the house and sat there for 10 minutes, watching sunlight flick through the blinds of my childhood bedroom window. My hands trembled on the steering wheel. I hadn't been back since the recital fallout. No welcome back. No hug. Just Dad, waiting at the door, holding the letter. He didn't speak, just handed it to me. The envelope was yellowed at the corners. A little dusty. My name written in blue pen, Ryan. Inside, 2 pages. One typed, one handwritten. I read the handwritten one first. "My dear boy." Music was never just background noise to me. It was prayer. It was protest. It was memory. You've always heard the silence better than the noise, and that's why your playing moves me. Moves everyone. Even the ones who pretend it doesn't. People might forget birthdays. They might miss concerts. But they won't forget the feeling you leave behind. Never chase applause, Ryan. Play for the ones who lean in. Love always. Grandma Elsie. My throat burned. Dad didn't say anything for a long time. Just stood there, arms crossed, watching me read it. Then finally, he whispered, "We should have stayed." I didn't respond. I didn't know him comfort for his regret. But then he said something else, something I wasn't prepared for. "They sold Bella's video rights to a streaming platform," he said. "Some new docu-series about rising stars. She made over $9,000 from one upload." I blinked. "They're using the family angle," he added. "Her introverted brother is part of the narrative." I stepped back. "You're kidding me." He shook his head slowly. I tried to stop it, but she's over 18. Your mother, she's supportive of it. That word, supportive. It twisted like a knife. She told them you gave permission, Dad added. I clenched the letter so tightly the paper crinkled. I didn't. I know. That was it. That was all he had. No plan. No apology big enough to fix it. So I left, took the letter, slammed the car door hard enough to rattle the mirrors. And when I got home, I did something I hadn't done in over a year. I composed a new piece. No lyrics. No introduction. Just raw chords. Open strings. Notes that howled like wind through a cracked window. I called it Ghost Seats. And when I uploaded the video, I didn't tag anyone, not even myself. Just a black screen and the sound of my heartbreak echoing through nylon strings. But somehow, it still found people. Within days, messages poured in. A retired cellist from Michigan messaged. This made me cry for the son I never really listened to. A teacher in Atlanta wrote, "We're using your track in our high school's anti-bullying film." And then an email from the director of the Seattle Artist Series. Subject, feature submission request, Ghost Seats. They wanted to fly me out. A full set. Paid travel. Housing. Exposure. I stared at the screen, numb. And that's when Bella called. Not a text. Not a DM. A call. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Hey, I saw your new piece. It's good. Look, I know things got weird. I didn't mean for any of this to blow up. Maybe we can talk. I don't know, do coffee or something. I deleted the voicemail. Because now, I had something better. I had a stage. I had my grandma's words. And I had one last performance in me. The one I'd been building toward all along. But I was saving it. For the city that didn't know my sister. That didn't care about old roles, or edited videos, or who sat in which chair. Seattle wouldn't see the brother who got left behind. They'd see the artist. The one who stayed. The one who played. And who finally, tuned his strings for no one else but himself.